for the last 10 years.
Let me start off with a Twitch feed this morning, and I got to get the whole name right. Mile High Hockey Lab.
The city of Denver, the state of Colorado, you guys have been fucking amazing for the last 10 years.
Let me start off with a Twitch feed this morning, and I got to get the whole name right. Mile High Hockey Lab.
The city of Denver, the state of Colorado.
Welcome to the Mile High Hockey Lab.
Hello and welcome to the Mile High Hockey Lab. My name is Adrian Hernandez. I am here today so far with Brendan Boat and Jackie K to talk Colorado Avalanche hockey. Thank you folks so very much for joining. While I have your attention, please like, subscribe, share, turn your alerts on so that you know every single time we are live. And go check out our Spotify catalog as we have all 86 other episodes as well as some bonus episodes that have kind of chronologically followed the Colorado Avalanche throughout this season and more. And please, folks, go give us a follow on your preferred social media platforms. And then now I'm just going to give you a quick little rundown on what you can expect on today's show. We're going to do a quick recap and reaction to the couple of games that have happened since our last appearance here on the Mile High Hockey Lab. We're going to touch on Trent Miner's debut, some success from Taze and Mikko. And then, of course, we'll preview the Jets, Wild, Rangers, and give our bold predictions and some NHL news. Okay, that's my spiel. Let's drop the puck. Let's start with that recap. We won't have Evan today, so in the script, Brandon, I'm going to give you all of Evan's questions. How about that?
Oh, God.
So we'll start with this first one. Let's talk about the first two games since our last show. It was kind of a frustrating loss to Montreal. Kind of got goalied a little bit by a young guy, but a rejuvenating and solid victory over Florida. Of those two games and outcomes, are you more concerned with how Montreal seemed to be effective in slowing the Avs down, or more excited about how the Avalanche, for the most part, dominated the Florida Panthers?
Well, I'm concerned about the definition of goaltender interference.
Fair.
That's what I'm concerned about. And Jackie can vouch for that, too. She was sitting next to me. So there was two plays that Colton went to the net, kind of was pushed off balance and into the goaltender for Montreal, and then Lehkonen was had no real chance. Well, he tried to go to the left, but was pushed into the goaltender and then into the net in overtime.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there needs to be a clear definition of goaltender interference. And Bednar actually said it pretty well this morning on his radio interview that you can get all the coaches into in a room, and then we'll all have different views on what goaltender interference is and come up with different answers. So
Right.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, I guess what I'm gathering from that is that you're more concerned about maybe what Montreal did than what the Avs did to Florida, or how do you feel?
Well, I mean, I guess it's eye for an eye, but when you have a goaltender like Connor Hellebuyck, and this was put in, I believe it was a year or this summer. It was this summer or last year. Connor Hellebuyck wrote something like a 15-page report.
Yeah, I heard about that.
I'm not joking. Like it was like a college type report and saying what goaltender interference is to a goaltender, and like had examples, charts, the whole spiel. And he has no idea what player safety or what the league has done with it. And when you have a goaltender actually saying, "Hey, this is my take. I'm a trophy, like an award-winning goaltender. Here's my take: at least do something with it.
Yeah. Well, Jackie, I'm curious as to what you think, and I guess I'll forward you that question. Were you more impressed by how they dominated, sort of, for the most part, Florida, or that the Montreal Canadiens were able to kind of slow them down? Is that like a stylistic thing with kind of a more stubborn approach with the Canadiens and high-flying style for the Avalanche, or what'd you see?
Well, I think it's more important that they play well against the good teams. So I guess if you were going to take anything away from a game, it would probably be that one. The Montreal one's tricky because usually those games are pretty close. I think there's only one blowout, which I actually was at in Montreal a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But other than that, the games have been close. I don't know if it's anything Montreal does. Specifically, they've played better lately, so that's part of it. I think they had a really good road trip, so they were kind of on a roll. I think it's just the matter of the Avs playing down to bad teams. We'll see tonight how that works.
We'll have another test in terms of that tonight against the Central leading in terms of not being good Chicago Blackhawks.
I think they're the worst team in the league right now.
Yeah, probably.
So in a way, you could kind of say that these two games were kind of the same thing, on the same theme. That you have playing down a little bit to weaker competition and then elevating their game against better competition. So I think that's something we've seen all year. I do want to touch real quick on the goaltender interference thing.
Yeah, let's circle back to that.
I do think there's two things at play. One, and I completely agree, it's so subjective. That's definitely true. Two, I think Benner had his say and he didn't get fined, and so I think that maybe there was a little bit of, I don't know, retaliation, but I think the players were retaliating too a little bit, because usually to avoid goaltender interference, you have to visibly look like you're avoiding the goalie. I know it's hard when you're off balance and you're in the air, et cetera, but usually guys visibly look like they're trying not to head on hit the goaltender. And in both of those cases with the Avs, neither guy moved at all and hit the goaltender head on. So was that intentional? Was that just the way it happened? But usually if you're saying that is what needs to be seen to avoid the goaltender interference call.
Yeah. Well, and it's all speculation, but I wouldn't be surprised if you're right about that. Like the players are kind of like, okay, well, we're going to get goaltender interference either way. So let's
get our money's worth.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
part of that,
and we
too,
saw,
sorry,
and we saw the two goalies that they hit. That guy was down for a while, and he wasn't injured. So that's another thing. Is going back to the Wedgwood thing. We know he was injured, and we talked about this last week. But the two guys that the Avs hit, that guy, or it was the same guy. That guy stayed down a good while. So going back to how can they determine if this is a serious injury or not?
Yeah, and that was Dobish, right? The young cat from Montreal.
Well, and I'm not saying he did anything wrong, but I'm saying I think that's what they say. You know, you get hit like that, what good is it for you to jump right back up?
Yeah, exactly. Because you're trying to appeal to the referee's sympathy, I guess, in a way, which is a common theme in sports, I think, all around the world, no matter kind of what sport you're playing. I think there's a little bit, I mean, the good thing about hockey is that there's an embellishment rule. And I think, like, with the idea of that being applied to goalies, I think you could also, the thing is that's just so not something you can like clearly find intent. So that makes it a little bit more difficult. But I'm curious about what you guys saw in Dobish. I know you two were in the building. Did you see something that's long lasting for the Montreal Canadiens? I mean, I think he had the best rookie first two games from a rookie in franchise history, which quite a storied franchise with quite a few really good goaltenders. Did you see a long-lasting success in that, or is it kind of flash in the pan for you guys?
That's hard to say, really. I thought he looked good. He's a big goalie. I mean, how do you know? There's a lot of guys that usually look good in the beginning, but I don't see why not. I'm a little bit surprised. I know they finally waived. Was it Primo? They finally waived that guy. So I don't really know the whole story of like why they randomly decided that he's going to start when they had like 3 goalies for a while and then they waived. I mean, I don't know the whole story there, but I do find it interesting. He went to Ohio State University, so he went the college route and he was in the AHL. I mean, sure, based on that game, I thought he played well. I didn't think it was a fluke. So, I mean, and winning the shootout, good for him too.
Exactly. Well, he has fans in Montreal excited, which they are the true definition of the word fanatic. So, like, that checks out. But I mean, I'm starting to feel kind of similarly about Mackenzie Blackwood. I know, Jackie, when the deal first went down, you mentioned that to you, the upgrade at the second goalie, the backup goalie, was more significant than the upgrade from Mackenzie Blackwood to Alexander Georgiev. Has that opinion changed at all? And what do I have to see? What do you have to see before you start to get really, really excited about Mackenzie Blackwood?
I mean, I think it's fine if fans are excited. I mean, he's played well. That's what you want to see. For me, it's the valley. I want to see what happens when they go through another slump, an injury crisis, a losing streak. Is he part of it? Is he part of the solution? What does he look like in a losing streak? Like, it's great that they just keep winning and they keep winning and win the cup. Fantastic. But there's another half of the season. There's going to be valleys. They've had the healthiest team they've had in front of him. You just don't know. Like, he's playing in basically the best case scenario right now. And he looks good. He's doing his part. Good for him. I have no complaints about how he's played, but you just don't know. Like, he hasn't been tested.
Body of work.
Exactly. And they're married to him. And right now it looks like a great decision. It probably will be because, like I said, they needed to commit to somebody. Okay, they committed to him, but we haven't seen the other side of the coin yet.
I think that's a fair analysis of the situation.
But
because it was all rosy and sunshines when Georgiev was streaking.
Right, exactly. Like, people act like he was Hunter Miska for 3 years. Like, he had great moments. He even had good moments this year. I was there in Detroit when he played that game. He was great in that game. So let's not get it twisted. There were highs and lows, and more lows than we would like. But
we just haven't seen a low yet. And once we do, we'll kind of learn a little bit more about the full context. I agree with that. But Brandon, I am curious. Like, I think you and I are probably more in alignment with this conversation where, like, I mean, I'm already tweeting that he's one of the best tenders in the league. And so I'm fully over and off the cliff. Where are you?
Well, I think we're in the honeymoon phase.
Yeah, okay, fair.
For sure.
Of a relationship. If you want to put it in layman's terms.
I mean, it's literal. They married him. So this is the honeymoon.
If we're in modern day relationships, we're in the honeymoon phase. And so it's the puppy love sensation. We're all touchy-feely. We can't get enough of each other, blah, blah, blah. But wait till we have our first fight. And he loses a game, and he loses a game bad. Like 4-0 bad. Whose fault is it going to be? Is it going to be the offensive, the top six who can't score? Or is it going to be Mackenzie Blackwood, who's got 4 goals scored on him because the people in front of him can't stop the fucking puck? So
he'll definitely get the excuses at first. Oh, it was a screen. Oh, there's no way you could have had that.
But I mean, you get my point. So
exactly.
it's just, you get my point. But it's like, hey, first fight and then make up.
Well, the Avs are making it very hard to temper expectations. They're in the middle of a NHL leading point streak. No other team has had one longer, and they have the potential to add to that tonight against what I would consider a lowly Chicago squad. And that's kind of where I don't feel, too crazy in thinking that he might be one of the best goaltenders in net, because I think when you get consistency in net, you also can start to play defensively a little bit less, gripping the stick and more freely and openly and like kind of communicating. And I think we've seen that. I also think we've seen the defenders activate a little bit more, which we'll touch on a little bit later in the show. But Brandon, I'm curious, today's kind of your day, man. Trent Miner is going to get his very first start for the Colorado Avalanche tonight against the Chicago Blackhawks. You've spoken about him in the past. You've talked about how in conversations with him, he's very humble. Even in his last performance where he had 13 of 14 saves and a .923 save percentage against the Capitals in an appearance in November, he said, I could have been better. Here's the things that I would want to fix to you. Are you hoping for more of that 13 of 14, .923 tonight, or is that kind of an unrealistic expectation? And how excited are you?
Very excited, considering the fact that I'll actually get to watch it. But well, we'll see if I can actually get to watch it.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Well,
yeah, I was gonna say this one's iffy tonight.
Because of the whole TNT altitude thing. But right. I'll have to find a way. But like he's obviously been with the team for a few days. He's had the pre-scouting and everything like that. Mm-hmm. The only thing that I'd be worried about is Connor Bedard, who's got that sneaky shot with the wrist shot. Jones, and that's about it.
Yeah,
from the blue line, and then that's
Taylor Hall maybe a little in there.
Yeah, well, if he gets a stick up high, but yeah.
Yeah.
But
Nate should watch out for Taylor Hall.
Yeah, because his nose is already in 3 different directions. Mm-hmm. But those are the only real 3 that I'm worried about.
Okay.
And then like you were saying, he's humble. I think he's aware that he needs work and what he needs to work on and everything like that. So he knows what he needs to do coming into this game.
Yeah, and don't mind my son back there. He's offering his own opinion on Trent Miner. But Brandon, I'm really excited because I think like when this sort of start has the potential, it's an opportunity for multiple people. I think obviously it's an opportunity for Trent Miner. I think it's good for the story and arc of Nabokov to see that the Avs will probably end up needing a third good goalie at all times anyway. So that should ease things in terms of that negotiation process. But one of the things that's kind of weird tonight, Jackie, is the Avs will be 11-7 as we don't really know if Nichushkin's coming back. Based on that, I'm thinking he's not. Jonathan Drouin back on the injured report with an upper body injury. Do you think the 11-7 is more of an emphasis like on limiting shots defensively to help out the rookie goaltending? Is it strategic, required due to injury, or both to you?
Oh, it's 100% because they don't have anybody else.
It's DeHaan coming back into the line.
Correct. Yeah.
So we'll see what actually happens in this game. But this will be the first game that they actually played 7 defensemen at defense. Because remember, they love to put like Shillington at forward. If Ludwig was on the team, I'm very curious to see if my little prediction would come true there, that he would have played forward. So I guess it's a bridge too far to make DeHaan play forward. So
that's how it's listed on Daily Faceoff. He's listed
allegedly that's what he said to Corey or somebody, whoever's there. Allegedly that is what he said. So I'm assuming that's what's going to happen, but like I've said, since they've refused to go 7D, I think for maybe like a calendar year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so funny because I remember when Gerard was a rookie, they went 7D a lot. They've done it a lot in the past. They used to mix up the pairs a lot more. So it was like no big deal to play 7D.
Yeah.
And then for like
McDermott used to do that all the time too, right? Would be kind of the
he would play a forward. 70. Well, yeah. I think it started with McDonald. Now, McDonald actually played like the majority of an AHL season at forward. So it made sense that in the NHL, they're like, okay, you could play forward. But then when it carried on to McDermott and Shillington and Caleb Jones, it was terrible. Those guys aren't forward. It's not fair to them.
Yeah.
But anyway, we've gone down that road before. But I'm just actually shocked that they have to play 7 actual D. But I think it's because they're not going to make DeHaan play forward. Like, that's just a bridge too far. So they don't have anybody else. Nuke didn't go on the trip. They literally have nobody else. So I guess this is what they have to do.
The only defense that I can see playing forward as a fourth liner, forward would be unlikely is Gerard, because he's too tiny as a forward, or Sam Malinsky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're doing it at that point, here's the thing: you can find a lot of equity in the numbers of this with 6 and 7 and whatever, however many 12 forwards when you have Devon Taves and Cale Makar, because they are basically another four. They're like you can put their number in both columns essentially. And so I think with a team like that, the line is already kind of blurred. And I'm surprised too, Jackie, that it's taken this long. I think if there's a third defender that plays forward and it's not Ludwig, I think you get the ding anyway, because that's just impossible.
It's just, I mean, they could make Middleton play that sort of McDermott, whatever, just drive the net or do something. I don't know. I think it's silly. Like, I get innovation, but this is not innovation. This is just you're setting up these guys to fail. Look at the analytics when they play forward. They've been awful.
Yeah, it's like I love Keaton. I really do. He's a great guy, like off the ice, but as a forward, no.
Not quite.
No.
No. We saw that play again for the first goal. I get it. It was a defensive goal, but come on. No, thanks. No.
I don't think you're a forward. And I don't think you're that's not like a hot take, you know what I mean? Like, if you watch even for a second, that's the truth of the matter. But I mean, outside of like some awkwardly amazing plays from McDermott with his stick in open ice with absolutely no one around him, it felt largely the same when he was kind of playing that role. So I guess it remains to be seen. I hope they find success with it tonight. I'm kind of just of the opinion that what they'll do is just not really play Calvin DeHaan and just play with 11 forwards and 6 defenders basically the entire night.
But they didn't even really play Middleton.
Right.
Last game. He played like 7 minutes, 7 minutes.
He'll probably have to play more, which is brace yourselves, everybody. But it's a good night.
Also Chicago.
Yeah, it's a good night for that. But let's talk a little bit about Devon Taves. And folks, please head on over to our website, milehighhockey.com. I recently contributed to a New Year's resolution roundtable that Jackie put out. And Devon Taves is just making me so happy. It's like he read that article, because I basically called for offensive success outside of Cale Makar from the defensive core, and I named Devon Taves and Sam Girard in the article. Devon Taves has 4 goals and 3 assists in his last 4 games, taking it very literal. I almost called for Ezra, and he's not even here. Brennan, what do you think has led to this influx of success for Devon Taves, and are you expecting him to be a more consistent offensive contributor than he kind of has been so far this season up until these games? Yeah.
Well, he's probably starting to get healthy for one. I know that Bednar said in recent interviews that a lot of the team is banged up. They're essentially doing band-aids to the Four Nations face-off, but I would imagine that him taking a few days for maintenance and things like that are helping the process. He's probably not. Well, I think he's playing a little tiny less ice time, but his confidence is probably also through the roof with the new goalie too.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's funny because I popped into the DNVR watch along, and Lacroix was basically just pining for someone, just shoot from the point. And then minutes later, Taves does it. And then a couple periods later, Taves does it again. And that's something that kind of not a lot of guys on the Avalanche can do consistently, which is get pucks through from the point. And to see Taves add that is good. I also saw a little bit of that play from the second power play unit with Girard and Taves, where Girard kind of swoops along the left and then just kind of does a quick little drop pass to the Taves one-timer at the point. I would absolutely love if the second power play unit could get actually half of the power play more consistently, because I do think that sort of look mixes things up in a good way, even for the top group when they do come back out. But a part of that top group, Jackie, has been Mikko Rantanen, who's just on a tear right now. He's got a career-tying 14 straight games with at least a point. Are the Avalanche kicking themselves a little bit for not getting a deal done with Mikko before all of this carnage? And do you just give him what he wants to make right now so he doesn't get more expensive in the meantime?
Because that's definitely a little thorny topic.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that he was on a 13 game point streak, first of all.
Right.
So the fact that that wasn't even news, that wasn't brought up, is crazy. Like,
Agreed.
that
Gotta check the
shows that
game
he's
notes.
still
Yeah.
underrated. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
It would have been in the game notes. But the fact that that wasn't something that people were talking about, the media wasn't talking about, that just shows you that Mikko does kind of get ignored of the big
Mhm.
three. But as far as the contract, my opinion is still the same. I mean, the Avs are screwed either way. So, I mean, I
Pick
don't
your
know if
poison.
they just said blank check, will you sign it? I don't know. I don't know what their position is. I don't know what they think they're gaining by waiting.
Right.
You hear the rumors that the 14 million, or I think Evan
Rawal?
brought up
Yeah.
a great point that they might be looking at resetting the winger kind of
Mhm.
contract, tops him and Marner. So is it even a matter of, if you're to that point, it just even doesn't have to do with the Avs. It just has to do with, you're looking to set a benchmark. You're looking to make a headline. Is Mikko that guy? I think he would love to keep playing for the Avs, but at the end of the day, he's getting paid. This is the thing that people need to realize. There is no downside for Mikko.
None.
He is getting the
None.
money one way or the other. So then you have to ask, like I said, what is the Avs angle here? What is their strategy? Why didn't they sign him this summer? What about it was that they didn't foresee, this getting more and more expensive, and now he's having a great year. I said at the game, is he going to score 50 goals now? Like, he's on his way.
Feels like it.
He's third in the league in scoring, or I mean, maybe I didn't check after last night, but when I checked yesterday, he was third in the league in scoring. I think he's tied for second in goals in the league. But to your question, I don't think they're negotiating now. I think once the season started, it was always going to be a summer thing. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's let's get this wrapped up. There probably is a magic number. There always is a magic number. If they say the magic number, does he sign it today? Maybe, but then what is the magic number? 15 million? I don't know. But either way, the Avs are they're going to have to pay him.
No doubt. And you're right. He's tied for third in points with 58 behind Leon Draisaitl and Nathan McKinnon, tied with Mitch Marner, just ahead of Nikita Kucherov. And let's go see. You had goals too as well,
I think
right?
tied for second in goals. I think there's a third. Okay.
He's third.
He's tied for second in goals with Braden Point at 24, with just Draisaitl ahead of him with 29. So yeah, and I think McKinnon.
Technically, he's third because he's played more games, but yeah.
Gotcha. Tied for second. Yeah, totally. So I guess they're both third technically. With that being said, but you're a top three goalies. You're top three players statistically. Period.
Yeah, basically top three. Is he going to end top three? I don't know. We'll see. But he's basically a top 10 player in the league. So, and I know that people, I could even make the argument too. And I know it's like, well, Landy got to the 11th hour. Like, can they get this guy to the 11th hour? Can they actually risk him walking? Can they actually risk getting nothing and having him go? Like, what are the options here?
I'm curious about the personality of Mikko Rantanen too, as it pertains to negotiations, because I mean, I know that all these guys, for the most part, in that elite echelon are all about the cup, right? And they just want to get paid while simultaneously being in a place where winning a cup is basically on the table every year. Obviously, that's not realistic, but it's achievable for some people. I mean, Pat Maroon's done it for however long, just dancing from team to team. Yeah, 3 years.
Except for
last year.
Chicago.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. So my point being though, it's like if you're Mikko Rantanen, you're totally right, Jackie. Like he has the cards are all in his hand. And the Avs are just waiting for him to put him down and say, like, this is what I need, this is what I want. But in terms of his personality, like, I know that I think the reports of things getting nasty, quote unquote, is just conjecture. But I wouldn't be surprised if there came a point when the Avs were kind of, maybe talking him down to their number where things could get a little interesting. We've seen fiery Mikko, even when Arturi Lekkonen's dad calls him out, in the press. In the event, we see something kind of like we saw with the Boston management where McFarland, which I don't think this would ever happen, but if McFarland came out and said, hey, we offered Mikko 14 and he turned it down, these little things can happen. And I'm curious as to how Mikko would respond to that. And so that's why I phrased the question the way I ask it, which is, are you kind of playing with fire here? Like if you want Mikko Rantanen to retire an Avalanche, I think you just make that happen. And especially with how we know the salary cap is set to go up, I think it's safe to say that'll continue unless something otherworldly happens that we're not prepared for. So I think on the horizon, there's more money for the Avalanche to deal with, and they just need to pull the trigger, get him right now at market value, and see how that market changes. Because if you have a top 5 forward on your team, you probably want to keep him around.
But then those guys never hit market. See, this is the thing, is there's no games because all those guys are RFAs. Those guys are, they're playing the game. Each side has leverage. And that's why I keep saying the Avs have zero leverage. This is a top 5 player looking to hit UFA. That doesn't happen. So this is why I still say at the end of the day, I think he gets re-signed because those guys just can't leave. You can't let those guys walk. It's devastating to the franchise. They don't hit the market. Can you imagine if he was a free agent, the kind of offers, the teams that would go insane? Because you don't get a guy like him in his prime at hitting the market. We'll see if Marner is the same way too. Yeah. But going just one more point to the personality thing, I don't think he's that way either. I know he said, like, I want a cup here. Why would I leave? But then the question is, then why haven't you signed whatever they offered?
Right.
Well, it's more his agent, but
exactly. I think if you're looking at you could make the argument the best winger in the league. That's important for the rest of the players. That's important. So you can't just say, oh, sure, I'll take $12 million or whatever. Just be nice. We can win a cup. The other thing is Makar's going to get the blank check. So McKinnon got the blank check. Makar's getting the blank check. Are you really going to be in a position where you're like, oh, I'll be the loyal one. I'll be the one and people are going to say, well, he's the third best of the 3. And he's not as good as Makar. He's not as good as McKinnon. This team does not have a window without Mikko. No. So I don't care how you rank them. I think at times he plays better than those 2. I don't think it's like cut and dry that he's the third. So this is why I say I don't know what the Avs are gaining by waiting. And I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. So we'll see what they find themselves in.
It's the only thing that's got me stressed out right now as currently as an Avs fan, outside of maybe the Landeskog situation. But I think even that is kind of, at least we know the dust will settle probably the end of this season on that. So I'm feeling a little better.
I do think at the end of the day, Mikko signs. I think they know it. They cannot let him go. I think at the end of the day he will, but it's like how ugly is that going to be? We'll see.
Well, and like the whole thing with the whole like using McKinnon's contract as the benchmark, I think that makes sense in a world where the cap doesn't move much, and that makes sense in a world where Mikko's maybe like a top 15 winger, but a potentially one of the best winger in the game. Like you said, that sets market implications. Like look at how Cale Makar's current contract makes other defending defenseman contracts around the league look, because he's probably one of the 2, in my opinion, the best defender in the game, but he doesn't get paid that way. And he will. He will. Yeah, he absolutely will. But in terms getting back to kind of my point is, I think that the Avalanche should just disregard the McKinnon benchmark. I think if McKinnon were in Rantanen's shoes, he would feel like, no, I don't need to use that as the benchmark. But
Well, this
Evan,
is when we come up with the percentage. Like, he might make more than McKinnon dollar wise, but they could still say, I think McKinnon was 15.1%. If he comes in under that percentage, you could still say you didn't get paid more than McKinnon, because with the cap going up, we can't look at it as flat out dollars. Like, these teams that have like $9 million internal caps, I mean, they just can't stay at that flat out, or else you're not going to keep your players. There's only so far loyalty can go. So you're going to have to realize that whatever X dollar is doesn't mean the same as it used to.
Totally. And that's exactly what I mean. And that if you take that into consideration, the money you end up spending on Mikko doesn't feel as bad, honestly. And Brandon, I'm curious, like, we got this game tonight against the Blackhawks, a really big game against the Wild tomorrow, and the Avs just so happen to be the best team in the league in terms of back-to-back victories in back-to-back situations. Are you expecting a blow-up game from McKinnon and Rantanen against the Wild and the Blackhawks? Or you just know that McKinnon shows out on national television like tonight?
I think they'll take it easy tonight. They'll do enough to get a couple goals in tonight. They'll play in front of Minor pretty, they'll shut down the defense. They'll get up early, in my hopes at least, and then shut it down for the rest of the night, because let's face it, it's the Blackhawks. And I'm not trying to be like insulting to all Blackhawk fans, because I wrote on this. Well, yeah, but it's like
we lost to them already once this year. So
exactly.
Yeah, but like
cocky.
They've got a negative 35 differential, and they've only won 11 games in regulation. So
I'm pretty sure Usanen got chased in that first one, like 4 goals on like 6 shots.
One way to make Trent Minor's stats look better: give up more shots.
Well, I don't want to give anything away, but that's in line with my bold prediction, sort of. Pseudo in line with my bold prediction. But Jackie, the Wild are kind of the toast of the hockey world this season in some spheres, because they've experienced a lot more success than I think a lot of pundits had foreseen. They've also kind of managed to stay successful despite catching a bit of an injury bug themselves. What do you attribute, success with injuries to on any team, really? And what are your keys to victory for the Avs tomorrow against the Wild?
Let's see. I'm looking it up real quick, but
Middleton's back.
Let's see. Let's look at the top 5 scorers for the Wild. We have Kaprizov, Marco Rossi, Matthew Boldy, Matt Zuccarello, and Brock Faber. What does that tell you?
I know where you're going. It tells you that an insertion of young, talented scorers typically lends to unexpected success. Yes.
There you go. I mean, Marco Rossi has 37 points. 37.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he was like, they were very high on him when they brought him in the first place. And I think this is more of what they expected. And he spent 2 years in the AHL. And I would say 2 years is starting to, and there were whispers, like, should they trade him? 2 years is a little bit like, why haven't you done the thing yet? Right.
But their patience paid off. So, they've had a lot of crazy injuries. But when you have 3 young players, I think at each position, I'm not sure between Boldy and Rossi, but we know Faber's a defenseman.
Right.
That makes a big difference. Mm-hmm. Like, that's a huge deal. And I think that's why you could say, like, is their surge legit? Yeah, I do, because they're young players coming into their own.
Yep.
And that's always been what the Wild lacked, right? They always sort of had a mediocre roster. They had some decent players, but nothing really exciting. Obviously, hitting on Kaprizov is huge, but he's been there a couple years. But when you can fill in back behind that, these players taking a step, and they didn't. do what everyone says, trade them, get a vet, get something now, get help now. Well, now you see what the difference is. So I think Minnesota is a perfect example of like, look at it, it works.
Yeah.
This is the thing. It's like Washington as well. I mean, Washington is like the best team in the Eastern Conference. I don't know if people quite
Yep.
realize that. And they've obviously Ovechkin's scoring helps. And I think Dubois been decent. He's probably not a catalyst, but he's not at least, a black hole there.
A liability. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
But they've got young players. They got McMichael. They've got a few guys
And their goalie.
and playing
Lindgren.
better than their potential.
Well,
This is how you become a good team. Like, I think that's the formula. It's not the completely bottom out, tear down. We're trying to see Chicago build up from that. I don't think that's the way to go, because I think that's taking it too far.
Mhm.
But if you can kind of strip it back a little bit, get rid of some dead weight veterans, identify and hold on to the good ones, the ones that aren't completely done yet. And if you can fill some of those missing positions with young players, I think that's the formula right now.
That's
So,
interesting, because did the Panthers last year have?
they
I
have
guess
a
who's their young?
they have some like Samaskovich.
I guess Uyghur. Would you consider Uyghur young enough for that still?
It's true they don't have a lot of like youth.
Yeah.
They have really good depth. I know they have that Samaskovich. What is it? Anton Lindell as well.
Yeah.
I think he's been.
I think you're
good for
totally
them.
onto something though. Like I think there's two realistic approaches right now. That being one of them, because I think you've seen that from Dallas too.
And LA.
and
LA never because they still have Kopitar and they're good vets. They never
I think
completely
that
cleaned it out.
the Florida and I guess Avalanche from 2022 approach, although the Avs had their own youth then, I think that approach also works, but it's way harder.
It's the
to
more
hit.
depth. Yeah, I think
it's
that
harder
is
to hit on
more
that.
like Florida last year and the Avs then, because they did have at least a few young players then. Is like full depth, really, really good depth.
Yeah.
Have a good defense, everything. But I think
the team with Evan Rodriguez on the second line is pretty deep at this point, based on how he's played. So,
I think he's even like the third line for them.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's not getting very many minutes, I don't think.
Yeah,
but
so
that goes back to their great depth. Sam
Mhm.
Bennett and him and all the guys that can roll out 1 through 4.
And I think if you look even a little bit across the way at Winnipeg and you look at their approach right now, I mean, I don't know so much if it's totally
they have some.
inspired
not
by
as
you,
much.
but they have a good goalie.
Perfetti on the team. I think Gabe Vilardi. They did really well when they had to trade Dubois and they got Gabe Vilardi. I really, really like Gabe Vilardi.
Well,
so I think he's a big help for them.
Yeah, me too. And Brandon Bednar mentioned that he's going to go with Minor tonight because he's going to save Blackwood for the Wild game. And then also, obviously, the Jets and Avs will play on Saturday. So it's another 4-point swing game to go along with the Minnesota Wild game. If you're the Avalanche, is this kind of more of an opportunity to climbing in the standings, or more of a threat to kind of losing some position against Dallas and Winnipeg?
Well, I would start Blackwood against Dallas first off, but
Winnipeg.
Winnipeg?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So definitely start McKenzie. So
yeah.
But I think it's going to be a difficult swing, but and especially since they're on the road, and Winnipeg's a difficult airport to get into, so it's always hard for them to fly in there. Where
and it's
no
cold.
matter, well, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're going in there from the spring or not. It's just it's a matter of trying to get into the frickin' airport,
taking the tunnels, baby, taking the tunnels.
But it's going to be a difficult game because just like you guys were mentioning, they're on a youth movement. They've got a good set of veterans and everything like that.
Yeah. And I think my bold prediction, season-long bold prediction of the Jets to miss the playoffs is pretty much like my biggest ship in a game of Battleship against my nephew, and it's at the bottom of the ocean because they look like a very good team, kind of poised to to do their best in the playoffs. But one of the teams that kind of similarly to the Jets was supposed to be a true contender is another team that the Avs have on the docket in the New York Rangers. Jackie, they're kind of an enigma. They've got plenty of names on their roster, but kind of like the Nashvilles of the world, they cannot put wins together. What gives in that situation, and how can the Avs exploit that?
Yeah, the Rangers are a tough one because I haven't gotten into like the nitty-gritty of their issues, but
Right.
it is kind of shocking when you see like people are complaining they're losing, blah blah blah, but then you look at the standings and it was like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I guess this isn't good.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're 3-6-1 in their last 10.
Like
And I thought they were going to do us a solid against Dallas. They had like a 3-goal lead, and then quickly lost it and lost in overtime. So
I think maybe there's some internal issues. I think
mhm.
It's a $12 million contract in the crease. That's what it does.
Yeah, that's that goes to show you that goaltending can be random. Any goalie can have just a bad year, and you just kind of just have to take it because I think there's some internal issues there. From the outside looking in, moving Trouba made sense, but when you move and you do that to your team's captain, I don't think maybe everybody's going to be on board. They didn't like what they did. What was it? Goudreau they got rid of, even though like analytically he wasn't good. But let's just say that I don't think the turmoil has helped. They're a veteran group. They should be able to withstand that. They're not like a young team that couldn't handle the talk like let's say a Buffalo couldn't. But there's also like I think Panarin's shooting 2% or something. I see these things on Twitter, so that's just not going to continue forever. They have talent on that roster, Lafreniere. I think something will pull them together and they'll play better. Now, is it too late for them to get in the playoffs? Who knows? But there's just too much talent there. There's Shesterkin could start playing well suddenly. You have their scorers start scoring. Things start going well. But as far as the Avs playing them, is that going to happen in the next, 5 days? Probably
We'll
not.
see. Yeah.
So, but I think it's the same thing. They're down. You get up on them early. Maybe they don't fight back as hard, but you still have to respect the talent. They could come out. They could get a couple quick goals. So I think it's something that probably will depend on momentum, depend on how the game starts. Because you don't know what you're going to get with a team like that.
Right.
So I just think, something like that, the Avs just have to focus on them. Just play, have a good start, whatever they need to tell themselves to have good starts. Because I still think that there's inconsistency there. They've been better. They've had good starts like against Florida, but they've not had good starts against Montreal. So that's just something that I think they're going to have to consciously work on. And that's going to matter the most in playing a team like that.
1000%. And I think when you have a team who's like gripping the stick a little bit tight, you just have to keep it close because always in the back of their mind is going to be the impending doom. And I think where the Avalanche have found success is in that they know they're never out of a game, but I'd like them to shift their focus a little bit.
It's nice that they have that tool in the bag.
Yeah.
The game's never really done. But some of the slow starts are sad.
Make it be done. Like get up, score those 4 third period goals in the first period, and then you can start to shelter some of your really good players, and they can rest a little more than they typically do. If you're coming from behind all the time, you're just going to be having the big three out there the entire game, especially in the end of the game. So I'm excited for this string of games for the Avalanche because I think it has the potential for them to do so, to move up in the standings in the Central Division, as well as kind of put their stamp on some of the storylines that are around the league, to include the Minnesota Wild craze, I guess. If the Avalanche can go in there and make a statement against a team who's widely regarded as one of the best in the league right now, I think that bodes well for them because it's interesting when you look at the standings. The Avalanche have 51 points. If they were in any other division, they would be in like second or first. But in the Central Division, they're third or fourth. So that's pretty interesting. But that goes to say, I think that the Avalanche are probably one of the better if not the best third-ranked team in their division in the league. But let's get into our bold predictions. It kind of looked like our boy Evan was going to join us, but I don't think he's going to be able to after all. Evan, we love you anyway. But let's get into our bold predictions. Evan, if you're listening, give us a comment on YouTube about your bold prediction, and we'll get that out here. But let's do a recap of last week's. Ezra, who's not with us on this episode today, he said that a bottom 6 Finnish player would score a goal. And you know what? That happened. Oh, no, not a goal. Not a goal. It was a point, and it was Parsonen who had an assist.
Yeah, I don't think
on the
he almost got it. It was
he
like
almost
he almost had the assist.
Dang it. I read that as a point, not a goal. So sorry, Ezra. I'm gonna have to circle back and yeah, that's a no. That's a no. Jackie, you had Trent Miner getting a shutout. He didn't play, but he is tonight. So we'll see, I guess.
Yeah, I do have another one, but I guess my official one was Gerard scoring, which didn't happen. So
yeah,
I mean, I'll take the X. I didn't get anything right.
And then I put you down as a season-long one for the As will acquire yet another goalie. And we'll rest 50 pledgers this year. That's just your season long.
Yes,
that's where I put
that was if they needed something for longer than 2 weeks. It seems like Wedgwood's probably going to be okay. I mean, we can leave it up there, but I think
I'll leave it up.
They'll make it through. But I am definitely counting on that 50 players.
Yeah, he's already
for every wrong season-long bold prediction, you guys owe me a candy bar. So, I mean, Jackie, tread lightly here. Your list is getting kind of long. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
No,
we owe you like a monster. You got to stay awake with those kids, too.
Yeah, there you go. That's true. I'm a Red Bull guy, not a Monster guy. My name is not Kyle. So,
okay, what flavor? If you say that, you got to say what flavor.
I like the blue, not blueberry. There's like a blue one. And then I like the coconut one. I know that's a weird answer for most people, but the white coconut one just really slaps. And I'll go for the regular, man. If I can get my hands on a regular Red Bull, I'm there all day. But I wish that those Red Bulls would give me wings and help me correctly bold predict things, because last week I boldly predicted Casey Middlestat having 4 points in 2 games. He only had 1, but I'm like,
that's why I laughed at you.
Yeah. Kind of glad he has more, or at least got 1. Evan, you weren't here, and I don't see any wait. Hi, hello, I'm here, LOL. I tried my headphones, didn't like me, I guess. Okay, Evan, well, we love you. Give us your bold prediction so I can read it out loud, and we can get you on the docket this week. Brandon, you had Olausson to score a goal and the Avalanche to beat Florida 2-1, and unfortunately,
that was close.
Yeah, you had that one. If not for the Mikko empty
I know.
netter.
Mikko and his empty netters.
Can I say this? I know that Devon Taze is the one who passed him the puck, but maybe pass it back to Taser, who's a goal away from a hat trick. Just me, especially on a day where Ado in the game day preview said, I think there's going to be a hat trick. So come on. Do me a solid here. Pass it back to that guy. But I get it. We got to win the game first. Whatever.
Yeah, it was too close against too good of a team to mess up.
Fair. It didn't stop him the other night, though. I'll tell you that much. But, I'm excited because I think, our bold predictions this week will be pretty spicy, especially with Trent Miner getting his first start ever. So let's play the music, and that will give you two time and me time. I already know mine, but you two.
I got mine. I got one too.
All right, let's go.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
I call that bold talk.
All right, Mile High Hockey listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. There's about 650 of you right now. That's really awesome on a game day. We really appreciate you guys. Please head on over to the website, milehighhockey.com, and get all of our written material, previews, and everything you might need that is Avs related. We love you for it. Turn your alerts on YouTube, and you'll know every single time we're live, and you'll never miss a single installment of the Mile High Hockey Lab. Look, we'll do Evans first because my boy is coming through on the YouTube chat. He says, bold prediction, 11-7 tonight. Yes, sir. We will see a defender play on a forward line at some point tonight and tomorrow. Uh-oh.
Oh
Jackie doesn't
boy.
like that one, but I think she thinks you're right.
We'll see.
Uh,
Okay, I'll be watching for it.
Remains to be seen. Okay, defender playing on a forward line tonight or tomorrow. Love it. Brendan, what you got for me?
So if we're gonna be doing this on Wednesday next week, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go with Matt Rempe fight.
Oh, in the Ranger game. Gotcha. Duh.
Do we need to say against? Well, I guess for your prediction, it doesn't matter against who, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, I'll give you double points if you can you can get this part right.
Keaton.
Middleton.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
Who
else would it be?
I mean, who else would it be?
McKinnon.
It'd either be Josh or it'd be Keaton. So
yeah, Manson probably can't be fighting right now.
Matt fights Keaton. Dig it. I dig it. It's two big boys
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
I thought we might get one in Montreal, but that game wasn't heated enough.
Yeah,
it
was a kind of a snoozer, but like,
yeah.
I mean, height wise, reach wise, weight wise, they're very
all
similar.
to the kid. Oh, yeah, really?
I say it all goes to Keaton in that sense.
Wow. Well,
yes,
that's
we'll
crazy.
see. We haven't had it.
Well, no, I mean, like he's not going to win. It's just they're similar matchups.
Rempe's only ticket to success is fighting, so I wouldn't be surprised if that's where he shows up in an Avs game. But Jackie, what do you got for me this week?
All right. I think we're gonna go with Mikko, and I'm gonna say because we have 4 games, pretty much what we're gonna until the next show. So I think Mikko is gonna get not 1 but 2 more empty net goals.
Yeah,
I was gonna say 4.
And then when
that's a little much, but
they're like, "Look, you scored 14 empty net goals,
which would tie, I think, the NHL record. I think he's at 7, and 9 would tie the NHL record,
which is wild.
I think Mikko's gonna get that.
All right, that just leaves me. And earlier today, I jumped the gun a little bit because I wanted to promote the show and preview it, and throw a little line out there. I boldly predicted that the Avalanche would allow less than 24 shots. I was informed that that's not nearly bold enough against the Chicago Blackhawks.
I disagree. Mean, they have a winning problem. Did they necessarily? I don't know. I don't think it's that easy.
I don't think they have a shooting problem per se. I think that the Avalanche will be hyper focused on limiting shots because of the back-to-back situation, Trent Miner first start sort of thing. I think what we saw from some of the really good Avalanche teams when oh my goodness, why is it Francouz would come into the net? I think we see some of that from the Avalanche tonight. So instead of 24, since I get called, somebody said do 16.
That is not too easy. No. I don't think it's too easy. I'm taking the over. Not only that, I'll raise it to 28.
Oh,
they will
really?
give up at least 28 shots to Chicago.
Nice.
And I'm taking the over.
So they allow they on average shots for are 25.6 per game.
So that's not that bold. I'll go 22. That's what we'll do. I like the number too. So we'll go with Nathan McKinnon's number in juniors. How about that?
Yeah, and then shots allowed per game are by Chicago on average are allowed 30.2.
Oh, look, we have a surprise visitor. Ezra, you're here just in time to give your bold prediction.
Just in time for a bold prediction.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
He's sweating from all the fires there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Also, it's 2:30 here.
That's
my bad. That's my bad. Because we always do it at 2:30 my time. So
I was just
2:30 normal.
I was just under the assumption you were dealing with what's being dealt with out there in California, and our heart goes out to you and all of those affected.
Thank you.
Dealing with that tragedy right now. But let's get your bold prediction as it
you are safe though,
Colorado
right?
Avalanche. Yeah, as we can see.
Yes, I'm certainly safe. Although this is a sliding glass door right behind me, and the screen door was gone when I went to open it today. It had fallen. Anyway, the wind took it away. It hit a car, Shh, don't tell anyone. No, it's okay.
Quit incriminating yourself. Quit incriminating the wind on our broadcast. Well, I'm happy to see that you're safe. Look, Evan's chiming in real quick too. He says, "Hi, Ezra. Stay safe. At least you were able to join, unlike me." Yeah, Evan tried.
Man, yeah, he's got car trouble. I've got wind trouble.
Yeah,
fire
exactly.
trouble, I guess. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But I think the Avs have no trouble. Tonight's going to be a Trent Miner domination of. He's going to stop 18 shots. That's what I'm going to say.
We'll stop 18 shots.
Mm-hmm.
Wait,
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Just don't make him elaborate. If you're right about that, and it's not the other part, we'll just glance right over it and pretend it never happened. But yeah, but I'm excited. I think you're onto something there. Ezra. Let's see what we got. Shout out to number 22, Colin Wilson. That's right. I think 22 shots or less on net tonight for the Chicago Blackhawks does not bode well for your bold prediction, Ezra.
We can both be right.
Or the outcome, I guess, if your bold prediction is correct. But I think that's everything. Ezra, is there anything you want to touch on? I'll give you a quick little recap of what we talked about. We talked about the Avs loss to Montreal. We talked about the Avs victory over Florida. We touched on Trent Miner's debut, the performance from Jacob Dobish, Taze's tear, Mikko's tear and lack of contract, the Wild being a big game, the Jets being a very big game, and the Rangers being in, I guess, squabbles. Is there anything of those topics that you want to touch on real quick?
No, I'm sure you guys you all did a great job covering all of that. I just want to say I'm so upset Jonathan Drouin is out again. I know it sounds like he's going to play the second half of the back-to-back, which is great. So this is maybe more of a precautionary, like
hope
use him thing. But man,
I know. Well,
I think that is one thing. That is one little thing that I kind of wanted to mention to jump off of that.
Let's do it, because I put in the preview that it's all speculation, but it just feels like he's re-aggravating the same injury over and over again, based on it being reported as an upper body injury every single time. And I know we've spoken kind of privately as to what we think the injury is. I don't expect anyone to elaborate on that, but Jackie, are you kind of in alignment with that speculation?
Do I think something else is going on? Is it his personal issues? No, I do firmly believe it's an injury. It's a mid-body injury. But what I wanted to touch on was, it just sounds like they're rushing everybody. They're just trying to get them to the break, which I get. It's in 4 or 5 weeks or something. But still, this is really playing with fire. Really playing with fire for a team that, let's be honest, doesn't play well when they're very injured because, the depth. And they're much better when they have everybody playing, which as every team. But I think, like I've said before, the margin there is a lot slimmer. So I'm a little concerned because, they said that Manson's not 100%. This is the second time he said Nichushkin would be on the trip, and then he wasn't. So he was trying to push him. We need you against Minnesota, bud. But no, that didn't work. And then pushed Drouin as well. Remember, in December, he was supposed to go on the trip and then didn't. So he said that it's something that can't get worse. I don't know about that, especially now that he's not playing. We'll see about tomorrow. I don't think it's a rest thing. I think if you're not good now, are you going to be good 20 hours from now? Probably not. I'd say, my opinion, he's not playing tomorrow either. We'll see about the weekend, etc. But
I'm just getting drug on Twitter because I was like, no, man, the Nichushkin situation's day to day and minor. And here we are a week and a half later, but I get it.
Is
there such thing as a day to day? Yeah, is there such thing as a day to day?
He was initially listed 7 to 10 days. If it's a week and a half, that's 10 days.
Yeah, I don't.
True.
As much as I get on them for being evasive,
but you can't also say day to day because that's not 10 days. Because day to 10 days.
Yeah, we wish day to day was 3 days, but it's not. I get it. Like week to week means you're probably going to miss 2 weeks. He's at least skating. Like I said, as much as I get on them for being invasive or just flat out lying, I don't really feel like they're lying about Nichushkin, but I think they definitely were trying to rush him and it didn't work.
Yeah.
And
Well,
and the
to
part
that
about
point-
Tays playing for so long injured is another thing, and Manson's playing injured, and they're trying to push Drouin, and he's somebody that I think doesn't do well when he's pushed injured. Like he's played well, but he's just not really gonna put up with being pushed.
Right. Go ahead, Ray.
And I think that might become a concern. We'll see. We'll see how the next 4 or so weeks go. But
Fair.
I'm starting to get that vibe that they're starting to push a little bit because they are on this good streak and they're playing well with everybody. But I really think they're playing with fire, knock on wood. I'm not trying to say I want bad things to happen, but it's getting a little dangerous.
I hear you. Brandon, what you got?
Well, coming from injury experience, like when I was talking to Evan and Jackie at the game, I went down every injury I had during playing hockey for 7 years, and yeah, it's a long list. And so I essentially played injured the whole time. And these guys are playing injured majority of the time.
It's kind of a part of the culture, right?
It's
there's a difference between being hurting and being hurt, right?
But you got to look at Miles Wood. It seemed like they were really like patching him through. I don't know exactly what happened to him, but it seemed like they were patching him through, and then just that. I think it was that Vegas game. It was just like something snapped.
Yeah.
Well,
and it was
there
bad.
are injuries where you have a choice between like, okay, you can try playing through it and managing the pain or having surgery or some kind of procedure, right? And if you try to play through it and manage the pain and eventually you find out that doesn't work, then you have to do the surgery route and you've lost, whatever couple of weeks you were trying to play through it, but you haven't like added time to the surgery recovery. So that's just a calculation some players have to do, right? And you see that all the time in all sports.
Yeah. Well, and then it's like in my case, like I played through the pain for a year and a half with 2 herniated discs, and now I've lost 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Playing through herniated discs is another
consequence.
Yeah, that's man. I'm sorry you did that.
It's like now, it's like I'd make a choice that I'm Mark Stone. I'd try and come back in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and
I think
try
this is
play.
Probably something that the Landeskog household just talks about quite often.
Exactly. Like, it's like I try and come back in, I play a couple games, it flares up, and then I come back out, sit a few games, come back in. It's not good for the team. And then they're without me. I'm not the greatest player, but
I think Evan puts it best right here. He said, "I'd rather be healthy in April if it means sitting out now, then so be it. Good for that goes for everyone, not just Drouin. I think that's true. But it's just now you're at game 42, and you're in third in the Central, and the Central Division apparently is the only division that wants to score points. So you're going to end up in a wild card position, which I guess isn't the end of the world." For the Avalanche, although it'd be nice to have home ice advantage, because I think although it doesn't typically apply to the NHL, I think it definitely applies to the Avalanche based on altitude. And I think honestly that has a lot to do with why they're so successful in back-to-back situations, because they train at altitude, unlike most teams. So I think I'm with Evan. I'm with you, Brennan. Like, if we got a herniated disc, man, let's just shut it down for a little bit and keep those last 2 years, those last 2 months of the season, and everything else will work itself out. So we've gone over our time, but that's fine. We have about 800 live viewers right now, and we love each and every one of you. Yeah, if you missed anything, give your old YouTube a rewind. I'm pretty sure we've touched on everything Avs right now. But Brendan, you did want to talk a little bit about a cause that the Colorado Eagles are spearheading in Loveland. Why don't you do that right now?
Yeah, so the Colorado Eagles on Saturday are doing their Hockey Fights Cancer night. So I did put a link on my Twitter that you guys can bid for the jerseys and things like that. I lost my brother to cardiac sarcoma in July, so it's a big deal for me. If you guys would all, donate, do whatever to any cause of cancer or cancer organizations that you feel are close to you, but it would mean a lot for me if anyone and everyone would make a donation. And I know, Adrian, that you did do some before, so thank you for that.
Of course. And honestly, man, my heart goes out to you and your family. That's not something that anyone wants to go through. And for those of you folks who are in a similar situation, same to you. My heart goes out to you, and I hope that everybody can find peace, whatever that means for you and yours. But yeah, please go on over to Brendan's Twitter profile and get it. Just whatever you can do it, because it's a cause that, as you can see, affects pretty much everybody in the world, and our community is no exception to that. So, Brendan, thank you very much for bringing that up. Jackie, go ahead.
Just going to say the Eagles do a really nice job with it. So I think it's something that you guys should check out. The jerseys are gorgeous. They're always these lavender. Yeah. It's well worth it, I would say. If you're interested in any sort of hockey fights cancer type of jersey, their jerseys are always well done, and they do a good job with the whole presentation of their game and everything.
Absolutely. And not to mention, they actually wear these jerseys during the game. It's not like it's
not like the NHL.
It's not like
with the warm up.
Yeah. It's not just like the 15-minute during warm up. It is. They have a specific set for the whole game, and with socks and everything that they wear during the whole game. So
I'm gonna go. Really cool. I'm gonna go bid on that Prishchapov.
Exactly. That would be
yeah.
A nice
go bid on a Prishchapov. Go get a. I'm pretty sure that Ivan will be on there, and he'll have an autographed jersey. Even though it won't be game worn, but it will be an Eagles autographed jersey.
Yeah, it's always interesting to look through the auction and see who they made jerseys for, because there's usually a few gems in there. Let's just put it that way. Yeah. There's usually a few, they made a jersey for that guy? That's interesting. So
yeah, and probably, I wouldn't doubt, honestly, and I mean, it's nothing against the Sam Malinsky lovers, but I wouldn't doubt there's a Sam Malinsky one in there too.
Yeah, exactly. So there could be a few good ones.
There's going to be a Barons in there.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go. So, folks, if you haven't already, the Colorado Eagles also posted a link to their Hockey Fights Cancer Jersey auction, and all proceeds go to benefit the UC Health Northern Colorado Oncology Patient Assistance Fund. And I'm gonna look and see what's being bid on right now. We got a number 2 Sean Barons, Jake Wise, number 4 Jacob McDonald, Wyatt Amott, TJ Tynan, Chris Wagner, Mark Senden, Jack. I screwed that name up. There you go. Jason Megna with a C on it, mind you. Yuri Inala, 22. Oscar Lausen, 24. Kevin Mandalese, Matt Steinberg, Chase Bradley, Jason Poline, Callie Rosen. That's a funny one. Get that in there. Chad Hillebrand, Ty Felleber, Bradley Wood, Matthew Phillips, Keaton Mastradato. That's a name on a back of a jersey. Oliver Shillington, Garrett Pike, Neil Shea, Keaton Middleton with an A, Sam Malinsky. That's a cool one. No one's even bid on the Sam Malinsky one. That's interesting.
Shillington. That's
and that says something that they made a Shillington one, but he has yet to see any time there. So
Ivan is on there. Nikita Prishchapov, all without bids. Jean-Luc Foudy. All right, I'm getting on here, man. It's time. So, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. There's about 815 of you, 816 now. I'm so glad that you were here to hear that last segment. Please go on over there, do your thing. Let's see how expensive we can get one of these jerseys to sell for. And then we can have like a really cool thing to hang on our wall in our basement as well. So, and I'm speaking about me right now, if you can't tell. But please head on over to our website, milehighhockey.com. We have all of our written material. We mentioned our roundtable, our previews, and we have some opinion pieces. And we do recaps as well. And of course, give all 4 of us, all 5, even Evan included, who was not able to make the program. He's waving right now. There he is. Hi, Evan. We love you. Bye, Evan. And Anna, go Avs, go. We appreciate it. But yeah, head on over to socials, give us all a follow, and share this broadcast and show with your fellow Avalanche fans. That way we can just get heard and seen by as many people as humanly possible that love the Avalanche. So for Brendan Vogt, Ezra Parter, Jackie K, and Evan Liu, my name is Adrian Hernandez, and on behalf of the Mile High Hockey Lab, I hope you folks have a wonderful evening, and I hope that the Avalanche get themselves a victory tonight against the Chicago Blackhawks at 5:30, and again tomorrow against the Minnesota Wild. Why the hell not? For now, until next time, go Avs.
Thank you for tuning into the Mile High Hockey Lab.